Good evening and welcome to the Transportation Planning Board meeting and public hearing. Let us stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yeah, can we have a roll call for the quorum, please?
Commissioner Myers?
Here.
Mayor Ross?
Here.
Commissioner Owen?
Here.
Commissioner Wastel?
Here.
Commissioner Cohen?
Here.
Commissioner Kemp?
Here.
Councilmember Clendenin? Councilmember Hurtak?
Here.
Councilmember Maniscalco?
Here.
Mayor Kilton?
Here.
Board Member Vaughn?
Here.
Charles Klug?
Here.
Joe Lopano? Bob Frey? Justin Willits?
Here.
Planning Commissioner Soraya?
Here.
We do have an in-person quorum. Would you please call for a vote of consent for remote participation?
Can we have a motion for consent?
Second.
Can we have a motion by Councilman Maniscalco, second by Commissioner Cohen? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Do we have any opposes? That motion is carried. Thank you. At this time, we have a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Can we have a motion by Commissioner Owens, second by Commissioner Cohen? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposes? That motion is carried. At this time, we're going to have our public comments on items other than the TIF, and just want to read a short statement to us. The board welcomes comments from citizens about any issue or concerns. Your opinions are valued in items of providing input to this board. And we have three persons who have signed up, and they all are virtual. Doreen Joseph. Doreen Joseph.
Hi, yes, I'm here, but I was not for items other than TIP. I'm signed up to comment on TIP.
Okay, thank you so much. Douglas Joseph.
I'm the same thing. I signed up to comment on the TIP, not on any item other than the TIP.
Thank you so much. And Deborah Linsky. Staff, is Deborah online?
Go ahead, Deborah. Deborah, are you there?
Hello?
Hello, go ahead.
I wanted to talk about the TIP as well.
Okay, well then we'll come back to you when we get to that part of the meeting. Thank you all so much. At this time, we'll have committee report and advance comments. Rick Fernandez, followed by Liz Eskridge.
Thank you, Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes. Good evening.
All right. Good evening to all. For the record, I'm Rick Fernandez. I'm the current chair of your CAC. The CAC met on the evening of June the 7th, 2023. We convened at 6 p.m., adjourned at 9. This was an extended meeting to allow for additional time to discuss the TIP, and we used every minute of it. Board member Lynn Hurtak joined us for part of the meeting. We were happy to host her and hope that others will do the same beginning in August. We had a full house in the room last week. It was our best attended meeting since the start of COVID. There were 2 action items, only one of which is on your agenda tonight. The first action item, which is not on your agenda, was the Hillsborough County Bicycle Network evaluation. This, as I said, this item is not on your agenda tonight, but I understand you'll consider it in August. That said, the CAC did not approve the item for recommendation to the board, and we will likely revisit it again in August. Following a concise presentation, we offered kudos to Wade Reynolds of TPO staff. He did a very nice job of explaining a very complex topic. Following that presentation, the committee expressed reservations about several elements of the network and the plan. Regarding the geographic boundaries of the plan, at least 2 members commented that it would be better to integrate this evaluation, which included county-owned facilities within unincorporated Hillsborough, with a forthcoming evaluation which will include county-owned facilities located within city limits. The members speculated that it might be better to consider all facilities in an integrated study rather than piecemeal. Other members asked why public engagement was not considered in developing the technical methodology and suggested that TPO and county staff seek ways to collect public input. The committee generally agreed that this would be helpful for Hillsborough County, as this input would allow it to prioritize bicycle investments along corridors that already have public support. Following this presentation and during new business, the committee moved to have TPO staff revisit the evaluation methodology based on concerns expressed and return it for our consideration in August. Action item number 2 was the fiscal year 2024-2028 Transportation Improvement Plan Program update. This item is the subject of tonight's public hearing, and it is item number 8 on your agenda. The CAC voted to recommend approval of the TIP following an amendment. Specifically, we voted to approve an amendment to Table 2, line item 73, related to the West Shore interchange, which is otherwise known as Section 4 in the TB Next program documents, and the area between West Shore and downtown, which is Section 5 in the TB Next plan documents. The amendment language applies to the narrative in the project status and request column. We voted to add the following language to the end of the narrative, quote, "All lanes will be non-tolled," close quote. As you review the narrative language, you see references to new express lanes throughout these sections of Interstate 275, again between West Shore and downtown. There is, however, no guidance offered as to how these express lanes will be managed. The intent of the amendment language is to place on record the sense of your CAC that these lanes should not be tolled. More generally, there was a lengthy discussion regarding the TIP. Many of the questions were from newer committee members seeking to clarify details about the format of the TIP, project prioritization, and how projects falling lower on the priority list can be funded. Several committee members remarked on the status of priority number 22, which is a PD&E project at the intersection of Sims Road and US 301. Members familiar with this intersection noted how dangerous it is and strongly advocated the Hillsborough County staff submit a funding application to kick off the study as soon as possible, while also implying that the TPO should recommend funding as soon as the application is submitted. A couple of comments and questions were targeted at projects impacting the TECO streetcar, with one member excited about the prospect of local funds matching federal to extend and modernize the system. Contrasting that excitement, another member remarked that they do not want unincorporated Hillsborough County paying for that service, as they believe it will primarily benefit those living in the urban core. The final substantive topic discussed was regarding the status of the West Shore Interchange project, one member commenting that it is difficult to discern from either the TIP or FDOT working program documents what work is included in that portfolio of projects. As in previous years, a number of committee members expressed concern about managed lanes and the interstate on the interstate being tolled, referencing back again to the amendment. CAC deferred status on all of the status reports, I should say, because we simply ran out of time. That ends the report. A copy of these remarks has been provided to the Secretary for inclusion in the record and to aid in transcription. Respectfully submitted.
Thank you so much, Rick. Liz?
Thank you.
Lizzie Eric, TPO staff. Good evening. At this time, I will be providing a summary of the public comments that are not related to the tip, as well as the committee reports. So over the past month, the committees have received various presentations and also took action on the following items. The Transportation Improvement Program Update and Priority List was approved by the Citizens Advisory Committee, the Technical Advisory Committee, Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee, and Livable Roadways. The Technical Advisory Committee members discussed documenting federal grants. The Hillsborough County Bicycle Network Evaluation was approved by the Technical Advisory Committee, Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee, and Livable Roadways Committee. It was not approved by the Citizens Advisory Committee. The Transportation Disadvantaged Coordinating Board bylaws, grievance procedures, and subcommittee appointments was approved by the Transportation Disadvantaged Coordinating Board. Now for a summary of the non-tip related public comments received in advance through Facebook, Twitter, and email. Dave Coleman and Bob O'Malley do not support merging the MPOs. Jackson Heights Neighborhood Association appreciated the TPO's involvement in the Potter Elementary School crosswalk murals. And Sharon Calvert asked about the agenda packets and the record retention process. The full text of these public comments are provided to you in the email from Cheryl Wilkenings sent this morning. That concludes my report.
Thank you so much, Liz. We'll move right into our consent agenda. We have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Cohen, second by Mayor Ross. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposes? That motion is carried. Thank you so much. We'll move right into our action items. Executive Directors. Megan, good evening.
Good evening, Megan Boterney, TPO staff. So thank you again for allowing me the opportunity to help with this important recruitment. During the recruitment period, we received 15 applications. 9 candidates were from Florida and 6 were from out of state. And out of those received, 10 met the minimum qualifications, which was a bachelor's degree and 10 years of progressive experience in planning. And 8 of those met at least one of the preferred qualifications, which again would be a master's degree or higher, 5 years of experience in an MPO, TPO, or some similar experience, and then some professional certifications. In May, you received 10 applications for review, and we ask that you recommend the candidates up to 5 that you would like to pass along to move to that next phase, which would be virtual interviews with some members of here. And I collected those responses, and you should see this in your packet, as well as to see the responses. And so we are recommending the top 4, which would be Wong, Benson, Sandin-Assamy, and Wells. And also, just to, as a reminder, the interview panel is Hertak, Wastel, Myers, Ross, and Ms. Zornita. So that we're just asking that you approve the list of semifinalists coming out of here. Thank you. Questions?
I have a question, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Wastel.
Thank you. There was an anomaly that occurred in this identification process, and then, so I want to make sure that everyone had an opportunity to review the ghost candidate that was added on with relatively low explanation. And then even later on, when I was researching the list and asked for it a second time, they were still not on that recommendation list. They were floating around in a separate email. So did the board, I'm seeing questioning eyes, so I want to make sure that it was a clear and transparent process for everybody that was involved. I'd be happy to hear some feedback of individuals that were aware of that and saw that ghost email that came through.
I got the email.
I got the email and I read it and I used it. I looked at that person as well as the others. Thank you for asking.
Okay.
Commissioner Coyne? Is it?
I don't think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, there was an anomaly on the process where there was another candidate that was added on after the list, and there were questions that revolved that specific. I tried to reach out to get clarification, but that meeting wasn't able to happen beforehand, so.
I think I did see this candidate, but I didn't realize that that's what you were just referring to.
Yeah, the concern was that the message was, here's another candidate, but don't reach back out unless you have a question. And it seemed not very clear to me. So I just want to make sure that everyone involved understood that that happened and agreed that a completely unbiased process happened.
Commissioner
I
Kemp?
just wanted to say I didn't know exactly what you were talking about because I just blended that in with the other applications I have and didn't really see it as an outlier or something different than the other process when I went through mine. So I definitely saw the applicant and considered it, and I just didn't think that it was outside the process as you described. I'm not sure.
Megan, you want to share some light since you're leading this effort?
Sure.
Thank you.
I will say that only one person had given me a response before my sending out that email. So it wasn't as if I had received a whole bunch of responses and then we sent out this application. It was only one response, and so everybody, and this candidate did get a few recommendations. So I do know that, in fact, people did look at him because that candidate did get a couple recommendations or votes.
Thank you. That answer your question, Commissioner Watson? Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
So
have any more
again,
questions?
yes, any questions, please?
Go ahead, Mayor Ross.
I don't have a question. I'm ready to make a motion
Yes.
unless there are questions. I move to move forward the 4 candidates who scored the top, Wong, Benson, Sandanassamy, and Wells.
Okay. Have a motion by Mayor Ross, second by Councilman Maniscalco. All in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Any opposes? That motion is carried. Thank you, Megan.
Thank you very much.
Okay. This closes out our board meeting, and we'll go right into our public hearing. And this is the public hearing for the Transportation Improvement Program known as TIP, and we have an update from Johnny Warren. Good evening.
Good evening, board and members of the public. Let me get situated real quick, make sure that you all can see my screen. Okay, great, thank you. As I said, Johnny Wong TPO staff, I'm the TIP manager, and I first want to thank my team for giving me the information to present this year's update to the Transportation Improvement Program, which covers fiscal years 24 through 28. I'm going to begin this year's update with the first of 3 sections. This first section is information that I feel is necessary to understand the structure of the TIP and what purpose it serves. I'd like to begin by contrasting the TIP with another TPO required work product, which is the Long Range Transportation Plan shown on the left side of this screen. The LRTP looks out 25 years into the future. It's intentionally left broad and visionary for a couple reasons, but most notably because it's very difficult to accurately guess what the community's needs will be so far out into the future. Contrast that to the TIP. The TIP is 5 years of projects, and the TIP's needs are well-defined, as are the projects. So when you're reviewing the TIP, you'll see that the projects included in it have cost estimates, project limits, phase that's seeking funding, as well as an assessment of what the benefits of that project will be when it's delivered. The TIP being the second of our core required work products, it's subject to many federal and state requirements. So prior to adoption each year, we go through a very long checklist to ensure compliance. Beginning with the top of the list and then working our way down, the TIP has to show consistency with the adopted long-range transportation plan, has to be developed in coordination with FDOT and HART, specifically their revenue estimates. It has to include regionally significant projects, has to include highway and transit projects that are expected to be funded with dollars from the Federal Highway Administration or the Federal Transit Administration. It has to be cost feasible, meaning that we are only programming revenues that we can reasonably expect will be available over this 5-year time period. It has to be developed in consultation with the public, and it has to identify our quantitative criteria that we use to prioritize projects identified in it. The TIP is structured as 3 lists, each serving a specific purpose that I'm going to describe over the next few slides, beginning with Table 1. So Table 1 is a list of projects that have already been designated as priorities, and they have some construction funding program. This means that construction will either begin or will be complete within a period of 5 years. Projects remain on this list until that construction is complete. This purpose is serving that the community knows that the project still has the support of the public, so we're going to continue to seek funding until it's done. Table 2 is often called the priority list or list of priority projects. If a project is included on Table 2, it means that it's been evaluated to ensure that it'll have a positive impact on one of this TPO's goals. And it also means that based on our analysis, we've identified that the benefits are positive, and then we use that information to rank the project numerically as shown on Table 2 if you're following along. Projects on Table 2 are still seeking construction funding, and they remain on the TIP until that happens. So once construction money is programmed, these projects essentially graduate off of Table 2 and move on to Table 1. And then Table 3 is a very long list of projects that have funding programmed sometime within the next 5 years, and that can include everything that's listed in the FDOT work program, the capital improvements programs from all of our local governments, as well as some miscellaneous projects that kind of defy simple categorization. That could be planning studies, could be other transportation investments that may not help us achieve our goals, but are still useful nonetheless, like herbicide applications, pesticide, landscaping maintenance, things like that. A quick note about the capital improvements programs or CIPs. We don't have to include those in the TIP, but we do that just to ensure planning consistency and transparency and make this kind of like a one-stop shop for public information. Anyone that has questions about what's funded can use our TIP for that information. And then going back to Table 2 for a quick moment, because it deserves a little bit of special attention. The process used for creating the list of priority projects kind of looks like this. Early each year, typically end of January, early February, TPO staff meet with our local government partners, and then we review their current priorities, just to make sure that we have the most up-to-date information about all of these proposed projects and ensure that they're still priorities of the local governments. During that meeting, the local governments typically propose new projects that they want to add to the TIP in that year. We consult with them to get the details on what each project will achieve, the location, the cost, the phase that's seeking funding, as well as some other information. And then once we have an idea of what that project can accomplish, we categorize it into one of our 5 categories that are shown at the bottom of this screen. Based on the categorization, we then seek data and evaluate the project's merits. And based on the results, we rank it among comparable projects and include it in Table 2. The last step, and one in which the TPO adds a lot of value, is by matching priorities to a funding source based on the criteria that the local governments tell us, mostly project goals, scale, cost, facility type, as well as jurisdiction. We've discussed this in previous board meetings, but it's worth saying again, projects are often funded with a combination of different sources. And what that really translates to is a combination of different agencies, each with their own budget, eligibility requirements, timeline, and it becomes a very complex process. And we really benefit a lot from our close coordination with DOT because they have a lot of expertise in this area. Without any further ado, I'm going to jump into section 2, which covers the significant changes to tables 1 and 2 from the previous year. And if you're following along with me in the tip document, table 1 begins on page 27. I'm kind of going to go a little slow here to allow you to catch your bearings as I talk through each of these projects. This year, nearly 20 priority projects were programmed for construction and thus added to table 1. Beginning with the state of good repair and resilience category, the T-BARTA Van Pool received $200,000 for operations in fiscal year 28. HART received some funds via a TIP amendment to repair some of its bus stops and make those ADA compliant, as did the HART Heavy Maintenance Facility. Moving right to some safety projects, funds were accelerated to expedite intersection improvements at Boy Scout and Manhattan. That project was last year's top safety priority for this TPO board. In Plant City, 2 sidewalk projects near Marshall and Tomlin Middle Schools were programmed, as was Lois Ave from Cleveland to Boy Scout in Tampa. And then several intersections along US 301 were also the subject of TIP amendments, namely Harney, Stacy, McIntosh, and Palm River Roads. There was also a safety project on Fowler Ave from 56 to east of I-75. A trail project is now programmed on that corridor. It has construction in fiscal year 28, and that's going to complement an already programmed corridor improvement along that same segment. On to the mobility projects. Green Artery Trail segment D and E received construction funding. Segment D kind of tracks along the south side of Hillsborough River from 20th Street to Nebraska Ave, and segment E is north of the river from Bird Street, kind of heads west and then south to Sly Ave. There's another intersection connectivity project on Mango Road at Old Hillsborough Ave, and a project to fill in sidewalk gaps on state roads around the county. And then last, some major projects also moved forward this year, namely 2 really big wins for the region. The West Shore Interchange is now fully funded for construction, and 1/2 of the Big Bend Road bookends was funded, while the second half is now seeking funding. Rounding out the list, HART Heavy Maintenance Facility is listed here to indicate that it is both a maintenance project as well as a major project. Some projects were completed this year and therefore removed from Table 1. Safety projects at the intersection of Bush Boulevard and Armenia Ave. A number of projects listed on the Hillsborough County Safe Routes to School plan were completed, as was a bike lane addition along Morris Bridge Road and a segment of Kennedy Boulevard from West Shore to Woodland Ave. Upper Tampa Bay Trail Connector, Lutz Lake Fern Road got a sidewalk added, and a trail project along the Selman Greenway from 17th to 19th Street was removed at the request of the agency. This project ran into some fatal flaws during design. Rather than giving up on it, we're going to work with DIA staff this year, try to figure out the details of how to move that project forward, and hopefully get it onto Table 2 for next year. And then last, a widening project on Sam Allen Road from SR 39 to Park Road is also complete. The next 5 slides show proposed additions to Table 2, which again means that they're seeking to be considered priorities and allow them to compete for funding for the requested phase. The projects shown on this slide are what I would consider more ongoing needs, so they have appeared in previous TIPs. The request was reaffirmed by the agency this year, so they're kind of staying on Table 2. At the top of the list, bus replacements and bus maintenance midlife overhaul. That project is going to either replace the existing diesel fleet with low emission buses or repair transit drivetrain components like transmissions and engines to extend the life of those vehicles a little bit. HART requested $17 million, and we're recommending funding $5 million of that for fiscal year '29. We're also seeing continued funding requests for the HART maintenance facility. HART requested $5 million for that, as well as continued funding for the bus stop repairs project to make those ADA compliant. HART submitted a request of $2 million, and we're going to recommend funding that amount. There was a new request from the City of Tampa to reconstruct the Bermuda Boulevard seawall from 22nd Street north to Lindsay Street. That request was just to add it to the priority list. There's not sufficient details or a funding application, so we're going to add it to the list, and as information comes out in following years, we can view that as a candidate to fund. Moving on to the safety projects, one in Plant City requesting $1 million to design and complete a complete street segment on Collins Street from Alsobrook to Alexander. A request from the City of Tampa for $2 million to install pedestrian crossings, curb extensions, intersection improvements, and some other bike ped treatments on McDill Ave from Kennedy to Columbus. We will also recommend funding that request. Two more requested from the City of Tampa. One is to right-size Platt Street from Armenia to Parker, which will allow the installation of a protected bike lane, as well as doing some other intersection improvements. And then another safety enhancement on South 22nd Street from US 41 to Marconi. No funding was requested for either of those projects just yet, so in future years, we'll seek out that information. And then last, a $500,000 request from Plant City to do a study on SR 39 from Alexander to Trapnell. We'll recommend funding a portion of that study up to $200,000. Next, on the smart cities, these are typically intersection improvements or projects that reduce congestion, enhance reliability. City of Tampa First is asking to prioritize traffic signal replacements all along Ybor City. Many of their traffic signals are twice past their useful life and need to be replaced. They're also requesting a new signal at the intersection of Franklin Street and Water Street. Hillsborough County is looking to construct a smart traffic network that would amount to a pretty significant build out of the traffic management system. That request is for $45 million. The three projects that I just mentioned are probably eligible for a discretionary federal grant. We are awaiting a notice of funding on the congestion research program, which could be at least $10 million up to $50 each year over the next few years. And we're going to work with those governments to put together a grant application to see if we can deliver some money. Last up on this list, Temple Terrace is requesting $100,000 each to do traffic signal warrant studies on 56th. One's at the intersection of Grove Hill Road and the other's at the intersection of Druid Hills Road. A couple of years back, FDOT completed a corridor study on 56, which covered both of these intersections. It's my understanding that the district is working with city staff to create a broader vision plan for 56th Street, which would identify improvements that they'd like to move forward. For that reason, we're not going to be recommending funding these studies this year. Rather, we're going to wait for the results of that vision plan and work with city staff to identify improvements in future years. There was a $1.75 million request to design and construct a segment of the Plant City Canal Connector Trail, which is going to connect neighborhoods to the downtown area, and we're recommending funding this phase in fiscal year '29. The next three are City of Tampa requests. The first is for multimodal enhancement and trail connections on South 26th Street from US 41 to Adamo, and then the next two are filling in sidewalk gaps, one on Yukon from 22nd Street to 40th Street, and next Rome Ave from MLK Boulevard to Sly Ave. Last is a $3.4 million request from Hillsborough County to construct segment 6 of the Bypass Canal Trail. That segment runs from Fletcher to Bruceby Downs. This project is also going to appear on a regional trails priority list, which would allow it to compete for SunTrail dollars. The final category constitutes major projects that either add capacity to the network or otherwise have a big price tag, which make them difficult to fund with TPO discretionary dollars. But including these projects in the TIP will allow the local governments to go out and compete for those federal discretionary grants. First is an $8 million request for operations funding of the Tico streetcar. This project would increase the frequency from 15 minutes down to 10 minutes, and it would also extend that line from downtown Tampa north up to the Heights. Next is a $14 million request to complete the west side of the Big Bend bookends. I mentioned earlier that last year the county received TRIP funding. That was enough to complete one side. They're asking to add this project to the TIP this year, as well as a regional priority list, which would allow it to compete again for those same funds. And if the county wins it, that project would be closed out. Third is an $85 million request to fund a portion of construction costs for Lithia Pinecrest widening project. While $85 million is well beyond the allotment of TPO discretionary funds, we're working with the county right now to see if we can identify some lower cost interim improvements. We definitely recognize that there's a problem down there, but we'd like to see something come online sooner rather than later to alleviate the congestion. And we think that we can work with the county to put together a pretty compelling grant application, hoping to deliver some of those funds sooner rather than later. Next is a $62 million request to fund a portion of right-of-way and construction costs for the Van Dyke Road widening project, which is one of the connections from Lutz out to the expressway. That's a similar project to Lithia Pinecrest. We're going to first work with the county on Lithia Pinecrest grant application and then turn our attention to Van Dyke. Last up is a Temple Terrace request for $200,000 to complete a feasibility study on a new bridge crossing over the Bypass Canal Trail located somewhere near 122nd Avenue. While Table 3 is too large to discuss in detail, we've produced a summary chart to demonstrate how money is allocated. On this slide, you can see how 5 years of funding is programmed among projects falling into each of our investment categories. Major investments represent the lion's share with $2.8 billion, or 57% of the total, followed by $960 million in maintenance. 15%, that accounts for 15% of the total. 6% in mobility projects like trails, sidewalks, side paths, 3% in safety, and 1% in congestion management projects. I know that those stats are going to jump out to you, but keep in mind that many of the major projects also include safety, mobility, maintenance elements, and congestion treatments. So it's really difficult, if not impossible, to pull those totals out. Most of the major projects will include some aspect of the project that also helps us achieve our local goals. Section 3 is the last before I close out. TPO staff have recommended funding eligible projects, which are shown in the project description column of Table 2. I've also gone over all of those with you. And to answer a common question about when will these projects get built, the recommended funding amounts are programmed in the last year of the new TIP, meaning that any funding that's recommended by the board tonight will be released in fiscal year 29, with few exceptions. Sometimes that money can get accelerated, but for the most part, we're talking about programming dollars in the 5th year, which is 29. Some of the projects identified in the Hillsborough TIP will also be considered by the Suncoast Transportation Planning Alliance and the TMA to be added onto regional priority lists. One of the regional grant sources that these projects can compete for is the TRIP, Transportation Regional Incentive Program. We're asking that our representatives to those regional groups advocate for Big Bend West. As I mentioned, the county has already completed half of that, and if they win that money again, it will close out the project. There are also 2 proposed additions to the multi-use trails priority list. Projects here can compete for Sun Trail funding, which had an injection of funds this year, and the funding amounts are going to increase in following years. The 2 regional trails that we're advocating, or we're asking our regional reps to add, are segments 5 and 6 of the Bypass Canal Trail. Segment 6 runs from Harney Road to Fletcher, and 6 runs from Fletcher to Bruce B. Downs. We've achieved a lot of milestones in the lead up to tonight's public hearing. We posted this draft tip to our website and printed out a copy, put it in our library 30 days before tonight to allow for public review. We've received some comments on this document as have been provided to you. Over the months of May and first week of June, we presented the draft tip and the priority list to all of our committees. As has been discussed, they all approved it. We published a lot of roadside signs and flyers and did our social media push to attract attention to the tip because of its importance. And after tonight, we'll do our final compliance checks before we submit it to DOT. The presentation scheduled to solicit a portion of our public feedback on the tip was the advisory committee. So Livable Roadways Committee approved this unanimously. Our Bicycle Pedestrian Committee approved it unanimously, as did the TAC. The CAC approved it with an amendment, and the presentation tonight will conclude that. One quick note about the CAC approval. Mr. Fernandez, who's the CAC chair, spoke to this earlier. The CAC voted to recommend approval with an amendment to the description of the West Shore interchange on Table 2. That was priority number 73. In the time since the CAC met, we've consulted with DOT, and they've told us that West Shore interchange is now fully funded. The motion that the CAC put forward was to amend the description of that project to include no tolled lanes. However, as a result of it being fully funded, it is no longer appearing on Table 2, and it won't appear on the handouts that are in front of you. So we removed that description because it can now graduate from Table 2 to Table 1. With that, the recommended action for the board is to approve the tip update and priority list. I welcome any public comment, and I'll be sitting down until you need me, and happy to answer any questions then. Thank you all.
Thank you, Johnny. We're going to go into public comment, then we'll come into board discussion. Thank you. Okay. At this time, we have public comments, and we have 15 speakers. The first name is cut off, so I think either the first name is Leanna. Should be virtual. Is she online, staff?
I do not see a Leanna online.
Mike Marino. Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Chair and board members. I'm Michael Marino. I'm the Executive Director of West Shore Alliance, and on behalf of our 400-plus members, we want to indicate our support for the TIP as presented. We provide a letter in your packets as well. Specifically want to mention West Shore Boulevard and Gray Street, which are on the TIP as funding candidates. Both these projects would have a significant impact for businesses and residences. West Shore Boulevard finally becoming that gateway from Tampa International Airport. And in the case of Gray, we envision that, we as the West Shore Alliance envision that as the connection from the Riverwalk to the trail that will be on the Howard Franklin Bridge and the existing trail that's on the Courtney Campbell. So obviously mentioned tonight, Howard Franklin and West Shore Interchange. Howard Franklin is nearing completion. The West Shore Interchange will then kick off after that. These programs will start a pedestrian-friendly grid in the district, actually by virtue of the way the interchange will be built, and also having that premium transit corridor that does not exist right now in West Shore. And so we encourage you to keep investing in complete streets and transit options as complements to those major projects. We need, as a county, to support multiple modes of transportation and have a diversified and growing economy. The TIP advances that goal. We look forward to your support and working towards a transportation system that supports families and businesses in this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Rick Fernandez.
Thank you, Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes. Good evening.
All right. Well, good evening, and hello again to everyone. Let me flip on my video here. For the record, Rick Fernandez. I listened intently to the committee reports presented by Ms. Irich, I believe it's pronounced, and also comments just made by Dr. Wong. I want to be clear, the CAC did not approve the TIP as presented. The CAC approved the TIP as amended related to line item 73. And frankly, whatever little shell game may have taken place between last Wednesday and today to remove line item 73 from table 2 of the TIP and move it into table 1, that project is still there. And the request that we made as a CAC, which was to include language to express that those lanes not be tolled, it still applies. So I would suggest to you that you can go chase that line item in table 1 or table 2 or around the block if you want. It's still there. And I'm asking that you take action on it. Now, that was extemporaneous because I wasn't expecting that particular thing to pop up tonight, but it did, so I needed to address it. Now, back to what I considered my prepared comments. In February of 2020, the Tampa City Council, sitting as the CRA board, passed a resolution that, among other things, expressed that the CRA, again, that being the City Council, opposes tolls on interstate within the city of Tampa. That motion carried. It was made by Council Vieira and seconded by Council Maniscalco, if I'm understanding correctly. The issue of express lanes, will they be tolled or not, and if so, how, remains open to this day. Table 2, line item 73, as it was presented to us, and wherever it now lives in Table 1, addresses the area of West Shore to downtown, sections 4 and 5, respectively, under the TB Next plan. There is repeated reference to express lanes, but no guidance as to the manner of management. It is important the community opposition to toll lanes in the city of Tampa remain on the record, and tonight's TPO board meeting is an opportunity to do exactly that. I am asking you as a board to advocate for a resolution similar to that was passed by the CRA, or note that the TPO CAC did in fact pass that amendment. You could embrace that amendment yourself and include it in the tip wherever that item now lives. I appreciate your time, and whatever I have left, I cede back.
Thank you so much, Rick. The next presenter is, the last name spelled A-F-Z-A-L. See here, in person. Okay. Good evening.
Hi. My name is Samara Apsel. I live in West Tampa. Just very quickly, because there's a lot of speakers here tonight, I support all HART funding. That would include items 2, 3, 4, and 35. Streetcars and electric buses, all the funding, please. And that includes expanding the streetcar. It works. Let's fund it and implement it. All of those items that support and expand biking infrastructure. And by biking infrastructure, I do not mean sharrows painted in the roadway. Those don't work. I mean real biking infrastructure. The Green Spine, Green Artery, also multi-use trails, connector trails. And as Rick Fernandez was just discussing, remove the tolls as recommended by the CIC. I do not support road widening anywhere. It hurts the neighboring communities, the ones that still exist. Many of our communities were destroyed by road widening in the past. Road widening also increases the risk of traffic injuries and death. And it just leads to even more cars, and later down the road, people are asking to have the road widened anymore. I would also remind you that transportation and cars are not interchangeable terms. There are many kinds of transportation, and cars are only one of them. They are arguably the worst experience. They're dangerous, they're bad for the environment in countless ways, and they're often one of the slowest ways to get somewhere, especially for short trips. Please prioritize attention to the alternatives. Mass transit, especially the kind that comes more than once an hour. Streetcars, I already mentioned that. Again, protected bike lanes. People use them. People use them. If I hear one more time someone argue, you build those and no one uses them, I'll start taking video. People use them. And also with now electric bikes, stand-up scooters, people have the ability to go much further in those protected bike lanes than they could in the past. For the record, I got here on an electric scooter. Bicycles, skateboards, people use them for that too. I would especially encourage you to focus on the projects that connect neighborhoods to job centers. Let people use alternative means of transportation as a way to get to work. The alternatives are cheaper to build and operate over time. I think you all know how much it costs to build a mile of road. They're safer if people have the proper infrastructure. They're cheaper for the users. Compare the cost of an electric bicycle or an electric scooter to the cost of an automobile.
Thank you so much. Your time is up.
All right.
Thank you so much. Patrick? Okay. Doreen Joseph?
I see Patrick on the line, but let me see if I can unmute him. Patrick, are you there? Patrick, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Good evening.
Hi. I'll keep my remarks short. I oppose tolling in the city of Tampa on the interstate. That's it. I see my time. Thank you.
Okay. Doreen Joseph?
Yes, hello.
Hello, good evening.
Thank you. I also want to address specifically in the tip the widening of the freeway and really any major roads. Widening these roads is damaging to the communities in multiple ways. The extra lanes, which do nothing to alleviate traffic, which we have demonstrated again and again, they infiltrate on property that could be used for much-needed businesses and residential housing. Moving traffic closer to the population centers compromises air quality, causes illness, and deteriorates the quality of life for the tax-paying citizens who are so essential to a thriving city and county. I urge you to consider the long-term health of Tampa and Hillsborough County and remove all express and auxiliary lanes from item 73 and other parts of the tip. Rather than funding wider roads, please support funding for more transit options such as the streetcar and HART. Thank you.
Thank you. Douglas Joseph?
Hello, I'm Doug Joseph.
Good evening.
I'm here again. Sorry. So I'm here to speak against the freeway widening and the entire, what used to be TBX, now TB Next, chopped into small pieces and sent through the tip. It's been a long battle. I think you know that the community generally despises the whole idea of express lanes and toll lanes and freeway widening, but that's where we are. The first point I want to make is that there is absolutely no economic benefit to urban freeways. This has been demonstrated time and time again. I-275 and urban freeways generally are basically just the Berlin Wall with cars on top of them. Widening them achieves nothing. And again, the economic literature on this is unanimous. There's absolutely nothing to be gained by this. It's also interesting that if you look back at the history of the entire freeway system, nationally, but also particularly in Florida, the idea of putting urban interstates in, driving interstates through the urban core, was championed by segregationists with the idea that you could use an interstate as a way of really sticking it to the non-white population. And this is a matter of demonstrable historical fact. There's no issue here. I mean, everybody understands that's why the interstates are placed where they are. And so it was segregationists who designed them, and now we have a proposal for segregation on the interstates themselves, namely toll lanes. Segregate those people who have the money to drive through the wasteland that is the interstate versus those people who don't. So I urge the rejection of all of that. My final point here is that I think if you look around, you will realize, if you look nationally and beyond Florida, that enlightened cities have actually begun to tear down their interstates. Even Houston has given up. The Katy Freeway, 24 lanes, was realized that building these gigantic freeways with more and more and more lanes achieves exactly nothing. Even, believe it or not, Montgomery, Alabama is ahead of Tampa in terms of understanding how you should have urban development, how you should have urban transportation by getting rid of the freeways. It's time now, at least that Tampa wake up maybe just a little bit and understand that continued expansion, continued development of these freeway systems is of no use, and adding tolls is simply rubbing salt in an old wound. And with that, I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Michelle Cookson, she's on the line. She's donating her time to, she's on the line, staff?
Yes, hello.
Okay. Hold on.
Hi,
Michelle is donating her time to Chris Vela. So Chris, come on. If you can set it for 6 minutes, please. Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I just want to put out there what Johnny said is missing a couple pieces in the puzzle. We're not talking about just the West Shore interchange. We're talking about south of the West Shore interchange. So we're talking about segment 4, segment 5, which is basically the space roughly between West Shore and downtown. So I'm going to make my speech based on that section, on also item number 73. So to the folks out there who are new, the TIP hearing is meant to be simple. Of course, it isn't when we get last minute news, and of course, when a TIP is not concurrent to what Dr. Warner just said. This board conditionally approves or approves transportation projects, tandem vitale. Historically, though, simple pleas like no tolls, no interstate expansion have always been treated as a plan to restore and reuse the space shuttle. Despite overwhelming evidence that every time we have widened I-275 or I-4 or have built toll lanes, we still sit in traffic under FDOT science. Florida is #1 with the most tolled roads in the nation. In Hillsborough County, we have a group of 5 interstates and expressway systems within 1 mile of each other. 3 of these are tolled, yet this board still contemplated adding more toll interstate lanes. Since the late 50s, we have sunk billions of dollars of tax money on these roads, and no one asks why we're still in gridlock. While I would like to blame the lack of coherency on a personal level, part of this fault here are misleading interpretations from FDOT and, of course, last-minute news from the TPO when it comes to voting on the TIP. We have gotten a lot of wait and see emotions, thinking tolling or adding another lane will magically make the traffic go away. And God forbid, if you oppose FDOT, they may threaten to take the money away. Of course, no commissioner before you all has stood up to them and informed them that that's actually taxpayers' money. While I was planning on asking this board for a few TIP changes, which I might still, I will make it really simple. We need to remove all funding for express and toll lanes in item 73. FDOT loves your constituents' money. That is why, after our previous approval over $1 billion worth of interstate work, they're asking for even more money. To the conservatives on the board, FDOT wants to double dip on taxpayers, not only credit card more interstate work elsewhere in Florida, but also toll users while penalizing others in delay who can't afford tolls. FDOT wants to toll your constituents during the worst period of inflation. Right now, our heaviest populated portion of the county requires a salary of over $85,000 to rent modestly. Assuming you all will rerun for office, FDOT wants you all to explain to your voters why do you permanently supported toll lanes through Hillsborough County under a looming recession? Why wasn't there a public vote to toll? Then they want you to explain why poor people are suckers for paying for toll lanes themselves. Any high-ranking Tampa Bay bank operator will tell you recession is coming. If you need further assistance, you can ask your TBBJ reporter looking to get a quote from you. In our county, nearly all toll lane projects took decades to break even. It took the crosstown 30 years to break even. The Vets and Suncoast Parkway struggled for decades as well. The 1 mile I-4 connector is paying off nearly $300 million more over budget, and transactions for that road have remained flat. Tolls always pay for the operation and maintenance first. Any additional revenue simply gets reappropriated elsewhere beyond your political control. Toll revenue is cherished as a performative benchmark, a gross forecast to leverage more financing for future interstates and expressways. Any toll revenue surplus can simply go to projects outside your county. None of these work directly to benefit your taxpayers. To the remaining liberal folks on this commission, recall over the past 60 years, both political sides have approved deadly expressways that led to tens of thousands of crashes, severe injuries, deaths, and environmental injustice issues to the point where historically 10,000 blacks in Tampa were targeted to be relocated. Despite overwhelming evidence that encouraged this TPO under your rule to develop a proclamation recognizing racist transportation planning found in interstate work, none of you all followed through to stop TBX. Previously, some of you have been critical of toll lanes and lack of transit, yet you allowed FDOT to spend $30 million as a reset to only arrive at the same type of toll roads that are brought to you before this board in 2015, just like today. There is a reason why we have new neighbors on your board. If you don't listen to the people who have supported you, commitment never works out. Imagine if we worked with our airport folks on a plan to greet tourism with world-class transit service into downtown, or to local businesses and tourism hotspots where local taxes are generated. Would that make more sense than to drain tourism money into toll revenue that you can't appropriate? Realize item 73 is literally the gateway into downtown Tampa from the airport. This is allowing FDOT to further script their plan over more profitable ideas for Hillsborough counties to juice from tourism. Tourists will face interstate construction until nearly 2030. Tourism is the reason why we keep our taxes low in Hillsborough County. To both political sides, removing express lanes from item 73 will not interrupt FDOT's current work. Interstate construction will still occur. FDOT is addicted to toll lanes and are now asking for more money on a project that already has been awarded construction funds. The news as of yesterday is that FDOT now lacks over $350 million to complete the I-275 express lanes in Pinellas and over $630 million to widen I-4 in Polk County. They both want us, the taxpayers, and the governor to bail them out on budget shortfalls. Should we let them scam Hillsborough County too? Please remove toll lanes in item 73. Vote no tolls. Thank you.
Thank you. Bobby Creighton?
Bobby has not checked in.
Okay, thank you. Oh, come on. Good evening. Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm here today to speak on item 73 in opposition to tolled interstate lanes. My position is that tolled interstate lanes reinforce urban highway funding, which perpetuates a pattern of development that makes places less livable and the county less economically competitive. The interstate in Tampa is nearing 60 years old. While forward-thinking local governments around the world are seeking to elevate different modes of transportation, our state appears to be doubling down on the car. It would be improper to tax us to service the highway and then toll us to use it. This is no different than taxing you for water service than tolling you to turn the tap. I don't think it's cynical to believe that once tolls are in place and revenue starts flowing, Tallahassee will want more. Maybe 2 lanes will be tolled at first, but who's to say that ultimately all lanes won't be tolled? Once they're installed, how much harder will it be to make them go away? Residents of Tampa use I-275 primarily for local trips between downtown and USF. Who's to say tolls won't be placed where drivers within Tampa disproportionately pay in? I fully endorse that we need to maintain and improve economically strategic transportation infrastructure. We can achieve this while also increasing efficiency and productivity for businesses by prioritizing alternative modes of transportation to reduce local vehicle traffic. Thousands of people are moving to Hillsborough County every year. The county and its municipalities must diversify their alternative transportation assets to support greater development density to house all these people. It would be unsound to expend funding on highway infrastructure that may cost more every year, leaving less on the table for alternatives in the future, while encouraging more inefficient and costly suburban sprawl. I humbly ask that all TPO board members, and especially representatives of Tampa, oppose tolled interstate lanes. We cannot open the door to this proposition and allow Tallahassee a precedent that encourages continued funding for urban highway infrastructure over local transportation needs. The housing and transportation crises in the county are locked in a death spiral, and for too many residents, the ground is rapidly approaching. The city of Tampa is already hemorrhaging longtime residents at an alarming rate. It's time to seriously rethink our transportation strategy. Please send a signal that the TPO rejects interstate tolls and supports transportation options that encourage smart growth with common sense solutions.
Thank you. Andreas Dunker, she's virtually. Andreas?
Andreas, can you hear us? I'm going to unmute you.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening.
Thank you. Yes, my name is Andreas Dunker. Good evening. My name is Andreas Dunker. I live in Riverbend, and I'm here to speak on behalf of the Greenway Trails and Walk Bike Connections, specifically Rome Avenue from MLK to Sly Avenue. Some speakers before me have mentioned it. The alternative transportation is vital for Tampa, and there's a lot of good projects already completed. The Pinellas Trail, the Van Cleet Trail, the Withlacoochee Trail, and Tampa is missing the connection. The Riverwalk is a good start, but the areas and the path along the river further north are in a desolate state. They are chopped up. Rome Avenue, North Rome Avenue between Hillsborough and Fly is in a desolate state. It does not need to be widened. It needs to be made more accessible for locals and for people traveling through on bicycles and walking and the other means of transportation that were mentioned before. If you look at Europe, there are highways, bicycle highways happening there that are connecting countries over dozens of miles, and the car won't be around forever. We can't continue polluting the environment like we are. There are transport bikes that are being funded in Europe, as an example. Tampa is lagging behind. It's not a train. We're not missing the train, but we're missing the time. Thank you.
Thank you. Dana Lazarus, virtually.
Hello.
How you doing? Good evening.
Good evening. Dana Lazarus, zip code 33605. So first, I'd like to comment on the dozen or so road widening projects that made it into Table 2. Road widening is proven to harm adjacent communities, increases risk of traffic injuries and deaths, and doesn't alleviate traffic long-term due to induced demand. In addition, most of the road widening projects are in our precious rural communities. We want to protect those communities and preserve the rural way of life, especially on country roads that are nowhere near capacity. We need to stop subsidizing massive profits of home builders way out in outer county. Next, as a HART bus and bicycle rider, I'm grateful for the funding for HART and Complete Streets. One thing I wanted to bring up is that I am concerned about heat for myself and other non-SOV or single occupant vehicle users. Next week is supposed to reach 110 degrees. Buses have ice cold AC. And in other cities, states, and countries, they invest in robust bus stops with covering, shade trees over bike lanes and sidewalks, and land use policies that bring residents, commerce, and industry closer together to shorten trips. That said, by coincidence, today, the NOFO, which stands for Notice of Funding Opportunity, was released for the Reconnecting Communities federal grant. It includes $1.15 billion for capital projects. So as the gentleman earlier was talking about how other communities around the country are looking at other ways, alternative to highways, to move people around, not cars, people, to move people around the cities, this is a funding opportunity to just study that option for the city of Tampa and Hillsborough County. And $635 million are provided for planning and strategic partnerships in that grant opportunity. Funding is not plentiful, but it does exist. Also, to reiterate what others have said, please remove tolls from the TIP, particularly from Table 2, line item 73, as recommended by the CAC. We should not be double charged for roads that we don't even use, especially in these hard economic times. Nothing says we're going to demolish your homes and destroy your community and rob you of significant opportunity costs of your land, like putting in tolled flyover lanes that cater to outer county and other counties and not us here in the city. On a personal note, thank you for the project on 26th Street, as I live near there. I'm hoping and wondering about the addition of a signal at the intersection of Adamo and 26th Street with protected crossing for bikes and pedestrians to get to IKEA. I've almost been hit there on my bike and in my car multiple times by traffic on Adamo.
Your time is up. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Next person is Lillian Lockins, if I'm pronouncing, hope I'm not. The first name is cut off, so I can't read the first name. Good evening.
Hello, Board. I'm here to talk. I guess first let me start off really quickly by saying that I support the streetcar expansion. I feel like it's a great way to move the needle on getting people out of cars. But specifically, I wanted to talk about one of the new items added, the Platt Street resizing, where they would be adding protected bike lanes. I live right next to the intersection of Platt and Armenia, which is where the project ends. I feel like this project is a great idea and should be a candidate for maybe moving it forward a little bit faster than the 2029 year. So a couple of the benefits of this project would be better connectivity to the Publix that's right there on Armenia. In addition, all around the Publix on Armenia and on South Howard, there are new bicycle racks being installed that, with all the e-scooters and e-bikes, all those racks would benefit greatly from a protected route that could be used. In addition, living right next to the bars on South Howard, every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I see people drive in, park in the surrounding neighborhoods, get drunk, and then drive home. Probably not the best idea. I'm not saying that biking drunk is, amazing either, but it's less dangerous. Doesn't kill as many people. So giving people alternatives for reaching these bars would be a good idea. In addition, I feel like the people that in the surrounding apartment complexes in just the dense neighborhood that's around this Publix, looking at the immediate streets around the Publix, it feels like walking and biking is an afterthought. The current bike lanes that are installed there are not protected, so they are just used as parking for the vendors that park their trucks there and unload. And there's almost no marked crosswalks or bulb outs or any kind of pedestrian protection around this grocery store that is in a pretty dense area of the city. I feel like right-sizing this road and then maybe adding pedestrian safety features would benefit members of the community greatly. Thank you.
For the record, could you state your name, please?
Ilya.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Tayana Morales, in person, thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. So the first thing I wanted to speak about actually shifted as I was listening to the presentation, and it's the expansion of Van Dyke. So my first job when I was in the University of South Florida was working at a spa on Van Dyke. I would drive from USF to Van Dyke every day to my little part-time job. That job ended because I got into a horrible wreck on Van Dyke. The wreck happened, I lost my opportunity of how I got around. I lost my job. I lost the way I could get to the thing that I needed to fund my university experience. And so when we look at what happens at Van Dyke and you hear about widening this road, the problem with Van Dyke isn't the widening. The problem is the lack of transportation alternatives. It's the problem in the rest of the county. It's that we don't have alternatives to just cars that go fast and streets that don't actually slow down the cars so they don't obliterate anyone that steps on that road. Every time I go by Van Dyke, I'm still incredibly traumatized by my experience. And I feel that in so many roads in Hillsborough County, where I've almost lost my life constantly. And a big part of that fear that I have actually is what fueled my activism for other alternatives. I bike everywhere. I walk a lot of places. I actually moved into the urban core so I could reduce my vehicle emissions and the amount of times I was using my car. But the problem is when you're getting around the county and the majority of the things that we're funding are highways and toll lanes. And just a note on toll lanes. I grew up in Miami. I watched Miami expand every highway you can possibly imagine, add toll lanes. You know who goes down those toll lanes? Rich tourists that don't give a shit about anyone that actually lives in the community. Because what they do is they go on the toll lanes, they pay whatever amount, and then they crash into the person because they're probably drunk driving. So when we look at these toll lanes, when we look at this extra fund that we're adding that isn't really gonna come back to the communities, it's not actually serving the communities because it's not doing the thing transportation is meant to do, which is to move people safely and efficiently. And when we move people safely and efficiently, it cannot be by cars. The Tampa metro area is one of the most dangerous in the country because we don't invest in safe streets, because we don't invest in transportation alternatives. And the decisions that come out of today, the importance of expanding the streetcar, the importance of investing in HART, those decisions will be life or death for so many Hillsborough County residents. It will be those residents that call you and say, my child lives on here, I'm gonna give you the old street I lived on that has a sign of where someone died. McKinley and Bougainvillea. My child lives right there. He's dead because he stepped out because there isn't a safe place to live. And this is one of many, many streets in our community that are deadly. And when we keep widening them and spending all this money, especially like Lithia Pinecrest and all these outer county roads, you're not actually investing in the safe streets, because to invest in the straight streets, we have to reduce the amount of people in cars. We have to invest in transportation alternatives. We cannot invest in street widening and toll roads because it is literally a waste of the taxpayer money. Almost every single constituent that has come here today has spoken in support of transportation alternatives and safe routes, and I implore you, all of your representatives, to actually invest in those alternatives.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And our last speaker is Deborah Lincoln. Virtual, zone line. Okay, Deborah, good evening.
Hi, this is Deborah. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, this is Deborah LaCantel, yes, and I am going to be referring to Table 2 regarding the bike lane from Rome Avenue, MLK to Sly, and I live in this area on North River Shore where they're looking to put the bike trail. It goes along the river, and that road from north of Hillsborough to Powhatan on North River Shore can barely fit 2 cars. The sidewalk on that area near the river is cracked and broken. It's so many spots where people walk. We are unable to get that fixed because there's not funding for that. And there's a lot of people that walk on that area. You're looking to put a bike path through a residential area where cars cut down from Rome Avenue. They cut down Powhatan, down River Shore, speeding constantly. And there's not enough room for, let alone 2 cars and a bike lane. I feel very concerned for anybody that's going to be on a bike or in a car or walking on that sidewalk. The roads are not wide enough for any bike lane. The right-of-way is used for people to park their cars that live near that area. The extension of the bike lane goes down North River Shore, then it'll go north on Powhatan. And again, that road is not wide enough for basically 2 cars to come down. Again, I feel concerned because the cars come off Rome Avenue speeding down Powhatan. Then if you're going down Rome Avenue, the cars are backed up from Hillsborough Avenue past Havana, where the bike lane would be. And there's no room, again, on Rome Avenue for a bike lane. And then it moves into another residential area that has no sidewalks. I feel that we should really consider where we're going to put this bike lane for the safety of everybody that walks on that sidewalk, walks their dogs. And there's a lot of people that do that because it's right on the river. I feel very concerned that if a bike trail was put in there on the road, near the road, there's not enough room for everybody to be in a safe place. I'm very concerned about that, and I wanted to address that. I do hope. It's a little confusing. It says off-street path. So I was trying to find on the ledger exactly what that meant. So I'm not really sure what that means. Hopefully that can be clarified at the end of this presentation, or I can find it someplace else. Those are my concerns. And again, I am a resident on River Shore where the bike path would go through. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. And I just want to say, as far as HEART and HEART Plus, I hope all those all that goes through. I think it's very important, like everyone's saying, that there's
Thank you so much for your time.
transportation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
At this time, we're going to have the summary of comments from Liz.
At this time, I'll provide a summary of the tip-related public comments that we received in advance via Facebook, Twitter, and email. Regarding Van Dyke Road, Brad Rush asked about the roundabouts and the start date of the project. Regarding 30th Street, Lori Heller requested it be repaved. Regarding projects pertaining to HEART, Gary Cloyd suggests suspending current and future funding until January 1st, 2024. Regarding Lithia Pinecrest Road, John Maciello is requesting a traffic light at the intersection with Regal River Road. The West Shore Alliance submitted a letter which you received via email this morning, and you also heard from them earlier this evening during public comment. We received no written comments this evening, and the full text of the public comments were sent to you via email by Cheryl Wilkening this morning. This concludes my report.
Thank you so much. And at this time, we're going to board discussion, and Councilwoman Hurtak.
Yes, I have some questions for Dr. Wong.
Yes, Councilwoman.
I can't find, I have the printout that was sent out last week.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't find where 73 goes onto the table 1 based on the papers that you gave us tonight. Actually, several other people around me are like, hey, where is that? So if you could actually explain, because the project description here is West Shore Interchange, I-275, State Road 93 from south of State Road 60 to north of Hillsborough River, State Road 60 from south of I-275 to State Road 589, and there is no corresponding project description.
Yeah, thank you for the question. So this begs for a little bit longer of an explanation. When the CAC saw tables 1 and 2 last week, they're correct. All of the comments that have been made thus far are accurate. The West Shore Interchange had 2 project numbers that we believed were currently unfunded, seeking construction. So they were previously on table 2, and at the time that the CAC met, they were on table 2. Since we consulted with FDOT, we have learned that one of those FPNs is funded for construction, no longer belongs on table 2. The other piece of the puzzle is express lanes on veterans that they have told us Turnpike will be funding. That's not seeking federal funds, so that also doesn't belong on table 2 anymore. Because we're informed that they are programmed for construction, we added them to table 1. All of the FPNs in the leftmost column on the back page of table 1 represent all of the pieces that together comprise the West Shore Interchange.
Okay.
What I will say, the commenters tonight, I understand that they're expressing frustration that they're no longer able to use the table 2 description to express their policy preference against toll lanes, right? But there are other mechanisms to convey that policy if the board desires to do that. Resolutions. Last year, we learned from the secretary that the construction at the West Shore Interchange will be complete between 7 to 9 years from now. And as they get closer to wrapping that up, they're going to have public hearings involving the public, TPO board, local governments, asking what management strategy they would like to implement on those toll lanes. So it's not too late. If the board desires to express a policy preference about the management strategy, it can be done, just not through table 2, which is kind of ephemeral anyway. You know, if you expressed a policy preference in table 2 and that project's funded, it's no longer on table 2 anymore. So that's kind of the missed opportunity.
I mean, I have to say absolutely, because I spent a week preparing for this meeting, and to be thrown a curveball when I get here, I don't understand why this wasn't sent out to the board ahead of time. I mean, I spent hours on this, and I just wasted my time. And I'm sorry, there is nothing more frustrating than not having the information in front of me to make a solid decision. So I'm going back to the original one that was sent out that I did not get an update for. Priority number 73, I was questioning, and I want to know how this happened. It says, early works in phase 1 and 2 are already funded. Sure, but it says phase 3 to be funded in FY28. What happened? What is phase 3, and how did it magically get funding? Or what happened? How did that suddenly move to table 1 if it wasn't going to get funding until FY28?
I can defer to the secretary or FDOT staff to describe all the FPNs that are part of the final phase. Those details are really nuanced, and I'm not the most familiar with all of the FPNs.
I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Sure, I'll ask my staff to correct me on, some of this does get quite complicated with all the different numbers that we have and how we fund our projects with different fund types, and the Turnpike being involved at the northern terminus where it gets to the veterans and so forth. But we're using actually a procurement method that we haven't used before on this project, and it's called phase design build. Typically, we fund the project entirely in the first year of construction, and then you have to take this massive amount of money in some big projects and obligate it all in the first year. Because this project's going to be built over 7-8 years, what we did is we multi-year phased funded it. And so although the project is fully funded, the money's not being obligated until when we need the money throughout the project. So instead of taking money that could be used on other projects and tying it up, even though we might not need it for 3, 5, 7 years, we spread it out over those years. So that's kind of why you see it in different funding years. I think it's more efficient that way because it allows us to use money in the earlier years that otherwise would have just been sitting there not needed yet. So that's kind of why you kind of see it in multiple years.
Is there a way then that we might be able to change that from funded to obligated, or just use a different word? Because I think that's part of the confusion. When you say, okay, this is an 8-year project, we've obligated the funds for it. So people aren't expecting to see a bank account with $700 million. Just in a way to make it a little clearer. I mean, that's the way we generally do it.
Yeah, Justin Hall, FDOT District 7 staff. So the confusion a lot of times is Table 1 is actually programmed. So we have programmed and non-programmed. So the term funded gets used a lot, but really it's programmed versus unprogrammed.
Yeah,
and
then that would be a good word.
Yeah, so the Table 1 are all the projects that are programmed, either in our 5-year work program or otherwise. And so really, I mean, this was more a Scrivener's error than anything, because the West Shore funding has been on that project for now just over a year. So, you know, this was really more a Scrivener's issue that we should have caught last year that then got caught whenever we were reviewing with the TPO staff leading up to this meeting, that we saw, hey, the -3, the -4 are still showing on Table 2, even though they've been programmed. And I heard some people say additional money. It's not additional money. It's the same $900 million that we've talked about the whole time. It's still the same $900 million. Like, there's not additional money being added. This is the same $900 million.
Thank you. I'm also concerned about the idea of doing a resolution saying we don't want toll lanes, because that's not binding. I'm looking for something binding, saying you've heard, I mean, there was no one else that said they wanted toll lanes in that area. We're concerned about toll. I feel like the community gave a giant olive branch by having that literally the only thing that was contested. I feel like the community is really trying. They see that, you know, you're going to expand. So this is the only thing they're requesting, is that toll lanes not be used. And I wholeheartedly agree. Toll lanes do many things for our urban core. One of the main things they do is they have people bypass. If we want to bypass, we should be encouraging people to bypass around the city. But if you're going through the city, you want people to have opportunity to get off and spend money. If we're not doing that, we should be sending them around. Otherwise, there are no environmental benefits. There's no citizen benefit, because citizens who are being disrupted can't even use them. It lessens exposure for business, and it's the cost of land opportunity. And that's the biggest thing that I have a problem with the interstate, is the amount of land that we could be using for taxable purposes that we can't. So overall, toll lanes, I don't want a resolution, I want something stronger. And to go back, I actually had a conversation with Justin and Ms. Alden today about a merger and discussing that. But one of the things that came out of that was that idea that how do we move goods and services? Do they need to go through the urban core? So I would like, and this could be at the end, I'm not sure where we put this, I'm still working on how to do this with TPO, but I want to request a freight network study with the idea of reducing the truck volume north of downtown. So whether that be a flyover to help people from the Selman to get to I-75 or to use the veterans, whatever it takes, because semi-trucks slow down the traffic whenever we have backups and things like that. And as Justin so clearly told me today, they're going to take the path of least resistance. There are very few other urban cores that allow such trucks and traffic to go through the urban core. And I think it's very important that we get a handle on this now, because we're adding cranes to the port that are going to bring more containers, and we need to find a better way to get those containers out that doesn't go through the downtown core where we're already having traffic problems.
Which Justin Hall, FDOT, we can commit to HPE funds, which are our planning funds, to do a freight study, and we can actually scope that and come back once we scope it and discuss with the TPO staff what the scope of that study would be.
Do I make that motion? Can I make that motion now, or do I have to do it later?
You can make the motion now.
Okay, so my motion is to request a freight network study with the idea of reducing truck volume north of downtown. Second.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Hurtak, second by Commissioner Kemp. All in favor of the motion?
Well, we have just one moment, please.
But hold on. If you turn your mics on, because nothing is showing on the board where I can recognize anyone, so I'm going to need help with this, okay? The screen is just not pulling names. Okay, Mayor.
I would fully support a motion to request a freight study, but I don't want it to be contingent on focusing on any limitations on where that freight might go. So if you would be willing to amend it to not, to say that we're going to limit it to north of, 275 or whatever the case may be, then I'll support it under those circumstances.
I'm not saying to limit it, but to look at other ways we can send freight with the idea of trying to prevent the traffic.
That's not what I heard your motion to be, though. You put a limitation on your motion.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to put a limitation on it. So I said with the idea of reducing truck volume, but that means
that's still a limitation. So if your motion, if you could make your motion to be clear, just to do a freight study, then I will support that.
I mean, I really want to focus on getting the trucks out of downtown, so I can't change that. Sorry.
Okay. Between the two, I'm not sure if it's Commissioner Wong still.
Yeah, we have a big agenda, and I feel like this is veering us off course. So I'm not gonna entertain this motion right now.
Well, I just have a question. Is the motion to have FDOT do the study? That's who you're asking to do the analysis?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes.
FDOT, we will do a freight study. We don't need you to do a motion. We can do a freight study. Like, we can look at the freight network. We can come back and say, hey, this is the distribution of freight. This is where it's going. These are the limitations, and even some recommendations to how to improve that freight, movement. And we can come back, and then you guys can have the conversation about, that network and what it looks like and what changes you may or may not want to make. So we will just go ahead and do the model analysis, get the numbers so we can actually look at, hey, where is the distribution? Like, where are the trucks going? And then that way, then we can have a more educated conversation in the future once we can put the network up there and everybody can see the numbers of where the trucks are going, if that helps.
Does that help you, Mayor Kristen?
If that's, are we having a motion?
Do we need? We don't need a motion then?
Cameron?
Yeah, I'm willing to commit to doing it.
FDOT's
So,
bacon.
hi, Cameron Clark. So the department doesn't need direction from this board to do a study like that. They're saying he'll do it. I'd suggest us withdrawing the motion since we already have a motion in a second.
Okay, I will withdraw the motion.
Okay.
And then that's all I wanted to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay.
May I say something to Councilwoman Hurtak? I really apologize. It wasn't my intention to mislead, and I can understand that must have been very frustrating to feel like you wasted time. The toll management strategy conversation, I think, is a very important one, and I hear you saying resolution may not be the preferred method of communicating that because it's kind of ephemeral. I might suggest evaluating that as part of the LRTP adoption that's going to happen next year. Before the end of this calendar year, we're going to reach out to board members and ask if they have any projects they'd like us to test in the model and consider adding into the LRTP. So that might be a more long-lasting policy mechanism to convey that.
Can you tell me exactly what I need to ask for then, so I can take notes? Sorry.
I wouldn't advise that you need to ask for anything right now. My team's going to be in charge of doing the LRTP modeling, and I hear you loud and clear. You'd like us to test the impacts of different management strategies on those toll lanes, or sorry, on those managed lanes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Secretary Gwynn. Is your mic on? You turn your mic on?
There, is that better?
Yes, thank you.
So again, we did change our strategy a few years back from everything being congestion price tolling to being managed lanes. And to give you an example, kind of just around the state, some things that have happened. In South Florida, they did go with congestion pricing. In other words, the price varies by time of day, depending on the congestion. They used that strategy and combined it with using the excess tolling to fund park and ride lots and transit for using the express lanes as the transit lane corridor because of the amount of congestion they have in that area. In Jacksonville, after they built them, they found that the traffic didn't really justify the tolls, and so they've been untolled. In other places, they've been a static toll at certain times of day and untolled at other parts of the day. So we're still 7-8 years from what we're going to do. Things can change. Technology can change. Vehicles can change. One thing I always think, one day maybe connected vehicles will get preference in certain when you can get them closer together and they're working in platoons. You can make a motion now, but it really doesn't do anything in terms of we're going to, as we get closer to that, we'll do a public hearing, we'll get public input, and then we'll have a strategy that'll be developed. But it's still many years from when we would run into, in Hillsborough County, a tolled network if one was to be tolled. So it's not just one strategy fits all anymore. In fact, if you look on the veterans, at one time they built that extra lane in there, and the concept was we're going to toll that at a higher level by time of day, but the traffic didn't justify it, so it just stayed as another lane. So we'll look at it further, but I think right now it's just, you can make a resolution, but it'll be many years before we determine what it's actually going to be.
Thank you for that. I will just talk about it with the LRTP then. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Owen.
Mr. Wong, let's get off tolls for a second. When you have the list, and I know I've spoken about this before. I know our Board of County Commissioners kind of sent a priority list, the major investments in economic growth, and I still see that list, and I see that as kind of the last. Is that still looked at as a last priority? Is that a numerical order list? Could you elaborate on that for a second?
I would describe it as a low-ranking priority to fund using TPO discretionary grants.
Okay.
I don't think that it's a low funding priority to go after federal discretionary grants.
Okay.
And as I've mentioned to you, even without this board's direction, we kind of reached out to Hillsborough County staff and asked, hey, how can we help identify interim improvements? Because we know more than likely we can't fund it with TPO dollars, but there are opportunities to get something done, not necessarily fund a widening, but maybe a tech solution is the answer. Maybe operations change is the answer. So yes, it ranks fairly low numerically on the priority list, but that doesn't mean it's a low priority for us to go after money.
Yeah. So would that also possibly include kind of, unlike Bell Shoals, how we just widen it all at one time, maybe by piecemeal almost, that type of widening? Would that fit into that, you think, or no?
So we'd have to look at which grants are available, what types of projects might be eligible under under the conditions of Lithia, right? If it is a widening, certain federal grants would be available for that project. If it's a tech project, CRP, congestion relief, is a good one. Depending on the cost of whatever projects we come up with, MEGA might be another that funds projects north of $100 million. Widening it piecemeal, I'm going to refrain from commenting on that because I think, given that it's a two-lane facility, construction might be an issue. So that might be an option of last resort.
Yeah, because you have certain portions of the road where you have 30,000 trips a day and other portions that are like 11, 12 of the road. So, you know, kind of focusing like on Arundel and those type of intersections. So that was my question. Yeah, because, you know, and I'll speak for the outside of Tampa folks. You know, I can tell you road widening, improvement to our roads and infrastructure. The horse has left the barn already on some of the development. So we had our first meeting on Lithia Pinecrest Road, and it was standing room only. People were outside of the building. So it's an overwhelming need, and I'm glad to see it a priority. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Cohen?
If there's no more discussion, I'd like to make a motion to approve the tip.
Second.
Okay. Have a motion by Commissioner Cohen, second by Mayor Ross. I just have one question before I call for the vote. Secretary Gwynn, in the, when we talked about on 275 going north, is the wall, and I'm not sure if we can add that back in, going north from Hillsborough to Bears, and then sidewalks along, because when I talked with your staff at my briefing, and then sidewalks along the Telefarrell Street. Can you share some information on that, or your staff?
Yeah, so in the noise wall discussion's been one we've had many a time. And as we've discussed, we don't have a retrofit project for noise walls. There's a lot of places along the interstates throughout the whole state that don't have, we can't get federal funding for the noise walls. However, they are included in, they would be built as part of a widening of 275 up to Bears. That would include that. The sidewalk on Telefarrell, I don't know if we can do that separate from the.
Yeah, we could do it separate, Justin, all FDOT staff, sorry. We could do it separate, or we could do it with the interstate project. The thought was that when we kind of revisited Section 7, that we would add the sidewalk in Telefarrell with that project. So if we did the widening on I-275 north of Hillsborough, that we would construct the sidewalk with that, as well as the walls.
Yeah, so, and we'll look to see if we could do it separately, but obviously if we did the project, it would go with it. Right now, 275 north of Hillsborough is not in the priority list. And so we can't advance forward with the project or look for construction funding. But if it was to be built, then you'd have noise walls all the way up that corridor.
Yes. Okay. Commissioner Kemp?
Secretary Gwynn, I just have one question about the statement you just made. I always understood that many states do retrofit for walls, but Florida will not do that. That is not federal, but a state prohibition?
I'll be honest, I don't know what other states have certain policies. There may be some states that do. I do know that if we did an analysis at one time, and we looked at all of the locations where noise walls would be, I guess, justified based on noise, but because of when they were built and all that, we would spend our whole work program on noise walls. And once you start doing it in one location, it's hard to tell other locations that you couldn't. So what we made the decision as a department is to do it as part of capacity projects as they move forward. That way we can get the federal funding for it. Otherwise, we have to use non-federal funding. Otherwise, in a widening project, we would get 100% federal funding.
Okay, Commissioner Wasta, then Councilwoman Burtek.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Secretary Gwynn, there's a high injury corridor that came to light, and there's a lot of sections on 301, and 301 is an extremely long road. I'm having difficulties figuring out if it has been removed from this list, which is the northeast end of 301 as it gets close to Pasco County. Is that in this list?
Well, I'll let Johnny and Justin fill in the gap, but there was discussion about, obviously that road is a very dangerous road from a lot of head-on crashes, and the growth in Pasco County shows that there is a capacity need for it to be a wider road, but it's not prioritized, so we don't have any ability to move that project forward. What we did do, and is in the tip now, is we added several intersections to put traffic signals and turn lane improvements and stuff to try to make it safer without widening it. It doesn't help the capacity issue out there, but hopefully what it'll do is provide some opportunities for people from side streets to safely enter into the lanes, and perhaps it'll slow down a little bit of the traffic. Speed's a major issue at times out there too by putting the signals out. So yeah, but again, it's a project that's not on the tip priorities, so in terms of widening it.
So the improvements are in there. It's just that the widening is not in there. The improvements are on this list.
Yes, I think Johnny may have covered those earlier. There's like 4 intersections.
There are 4. 301 appears in the tip several places. Right. The intersections that are already funded for construction. Nothing else that's north of the area that you're talking about. Some other improvements south Hillsborough County, Sims Road. That was mentioned by a couple of commenters. That's a study at that intersection. But no, nothing pertaining to the widening.
Thank you. Councilwoman.
And thank you so much, Madam Chair, for bringing up the sidewalk on Taliaferro. I spoke earlier with Justin today about not just having a sidewalk, but space for bikes. So maybe even a larger multimodal space to do that. And I would, so I just want to say thank you for bringing that up.
Sure.
And I did want to thank FDOT, TPO staff, for bringing so many extra priorities that are focusing on Vision Zero, that are focusing on smart cities, and especially the focus on real choices without cars. We heard from a lot of people tonight, and I've seen the movement over the years, and I just want to say thank you for that. And we're seeing that being followed with the advent of the electric bike now and the scooters. So many more people are out there using them, and so now the demand is really happening. So I did not want to vote on this without saying thank you for that, and that's all.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Cohen, second by Mayor Ross. Gail, would you please do a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Myers?
Yes.
Mayor Ross?
Yes.
Commissioner Owen?
Yes.
Commissioner Wastel?
Yes.
Commissioner Cohen?
Yes.
Commissioner Kemp?
Yes.
Councilmember Clendenin?
Yes.
Councilmember Hurtak?
Yes.
Councilmember Maniscalco?
Yes.
Mayor Kilton?
Yes.
Board Member Vaughn? Charles Klug?
Yes.
Bob Frey? Justin Willits?
Yes.
Planning Commissioner Soraya?
Yes.
Sorry, this is Member Vaughn. I hate to interrupt, but it wouldn't allow me to unmute myself during the roll call, so if you could ask me at the end.
Board Member Vaughn?
No.
This is Bob Fry. I tried to as well, and it wouldn't let me, and I voted yes.
Who's that?
Bob Fry with Express.
Thank you. The motion passes 14-1.
Thank you all.
Thank you. At this time, we have the Executive Director report. Beth?
Thank you so much, board members. A couple of items of business. When Councilmember Citro left our board a couple of months ago, he did leave a couple of vacancies on our committee. So he was chairing our Livable Roadways Committee and serving as one of our 3 representatives to the Tampa Bay Transportation Management Area Leadership Group. Both of those positions can be appointed by our chair, but now that we have a full complement of board members again, I'd like to solicit volunteers for those positions. Starting with the TMA Leadership Group member, I have heard from our Vice Chair, Mayor Ross, that he is interested. Our Chair, Commissioner Myers, is automatically a member of the regional group, the Suncoast Transportation Planning Alliance. It would certainly be beneficial to have our Vice Chair available for the regional meetings as well. So I would put that out to our Chair for consideration. And our other vacancy, the chairmanship of the Livable Roadways Committee, that is it's an ad hoc committee that was created by this board back in the 1990s to provide some additional direction on the design of roadways as they're in a design phase or a PD&E phase. It has often been led by a Tampa council member. And I've heard from a couple of council members that they might be interested, but again, looking to confirm from this group what representation you might like to have.
Councilwoman Hurtak.
I'm willing to do it.
I'd like to nominate Mayor Ross to serve on the TMA and Councilwoman Hurtak to chair the Livable Roadways Committee.
Okay. Motion from Commissioner Cohen, second by Maniscalco. All in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Any opposes? That motion is carried. Thank you all so much.
Yeah, thank you. And then 2 other items. This Friday, we have a strategic plan board workshop. So a lot of the time we spend our board meetings debating items of business that are prescribed and that we don't have a lot of flexibility on. This strategic planning retreat gives an opportunity for you all to talk with each other and with the planning commissioners about strategically what do you think that we need to be focusing on as a long-range planning organization, as a multi-jurisdictional planning organization. That will, of course, be a public meeting, but there aren't going to be any votes taken at this. But the public is welcome to attend and view. So I would certainly encourage, if you can make time, to be able to participate in that discussion. And then finally, the following Friday is our quarterly regional meeting. We have 2 meetings this quarter. One of the 8-county Suncoast Transportation Planning Alliance, which will be at 10:30 a.m., and the Tri-County TMA Leadership Group, which is a subcommittee, will be meeting at 9 a.m., both at the DOT District 7 office. Thank you again to the Secretary for hosting. And we will be updating the priority lists for the Transportation Regional Incentive Grant Program, which you heard Dr. Wong mention. Also, the priorities for the regional multi-use trails, the Sun Trail program, and we will be discussing with Pinellas and Pasco MPOs some of the considerations for a possible merger. And of course, we'll be providing a report back to this board afterwards. And that concludes my report.
Thank you so much. Any old business? Any old business? Any new business? Mayor Ross.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just have a question for Cameron. Are we still allowed to participate as voting members remotely?
So, and we're sort of going back to the way things operated prior to COVID, which is if there aren't, first of all, for workshop purposes, if there's no votes being taken, there can be virtual participation only. If there are votes being taken on items, then under extraordinary circumstances, members can participate virtually, provided that there is a physical quorum present in the location of the meeting. So you're always able to operate a meeting provided you have a quorum of members present. But the guidance, and what we're talking about here is essentially Attorney General opinions of the Sunshine Law.
Okay, so as long as we have a physical quorum here of whatever that is, the rest of us can phone in from home?
It's not supposed to be that casual. It's supposed to be for, there should be circumstances justifying an absence from participating in person. It's, like I said, this is all stuff this is all the way it operated prior to COVID. There were exceptions that were created during COVID, but those have since expired.
Okay, I'll let go. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes. Justin?
I swore I wasn't going to speak if I didn't have to today, but I believe this is Ms. Alden's last tip hearing because she's retiring. So I just wanted to take a minute and say congratulations and thanks for all you've done here.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you to all of you for all of the time that you put into listening to and responding to our citizens.
And thank you for your kind comments. Hearing nothing else, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much, and it's 5 minutes to 8.
Wow, that's early as it's ever been.